Okay, I finally got some time to make a video on the recent project car that I picked up. I've asked some people questions about it online, and I've had a few guys say they'd like to see it in detail, so I figured I'd make a video and show it off. And even though my background is in video production, I've never been on this side of the camera, so you'll have to bear with me. It's a 1965 Mustang. I picked it up for $2,800 in York, Pennsylvania, and surprisingly it doesn't have a lot of the rust that you would get on vehicles in this area, or the rust belt is what a lot of guys would call it. To me, it seems like everything's pretty solid on it. The frame rails and everything seem like they're in great condition. And overall, I feel like it's been a very good purchase, so I'll just give you an overview of it here, and yeah, check it out. Okay, here she is from the front. As you can see, at first glance, you can tell it's in pretty good condition. I feel like for a 65, a lot of them are pretty beat up and rusted, and there doesn't appear to be any damage to the grille. Obviously the chrome on the bumper and everything is pitting and stuff, but that's normal. It has all the letters there, the Ford on the front. Typical repair work has been done to it here. On the fenders, the lower half of the fenders. I'm going to inspect that further and see what's underneath there. The driver's side door is not the original door. It's been replaced. You can tell it's a different color, and it has a different VIN number tag on it than what's on the fender. I still need to check the one on the other side to make sure that they match up, but it's the VIN on the fender that is on the title for the car. Now it actually has, I believe that's a side scoop for 68. The one on the other side is the actual 65. That might not be correct. I'm not sure, but I believe that this is the correct trim scoop for this car. The interior I am really impressed with. I mean, overall, the only big thing I see for a car this old is there's a tear on the seat, a little tear there. I mean, for the most part, aside from the radio missing, this thing is in really good shape. Now, I haven't pulled the carpet yet to see what condition the floor pan is in, but I've looked at it from underneath, and it really doesn't look that bad. There's an extra bumper in the back seat. The headliner is actually even in really good shape. The door panel for this side is actually in the trunk, so I have that. But yeah, it's a automatic, nothing fancy. The engine's a 200 inline six, so nothing fancy, but yeah, it's still a great car. You can see on the back quarter panel here, there's been some repair work. I can't tell. I'm thinking maybe someone, looks like maybe they welded in part of a skin. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I haven't looked at it enough yet, but yeah, there's a lot of work to be done here. The back end is in pretty decent shape. When I actually looked at this car to buy it, I opened the trunk and inspected the trunk and didn't really pay attention to the stuff that was inside the trunk. And I made the purchase knowing that I was going to have to pick up a window, the rear or driver's side window for the car. And later, as I dug through this stuff, I found a lot of the things that I thought I was going to have to replace. So it was like basically a second small Christmas for me. I kept pulling stuff out. Like, here's the trim for the headlight that's missing up front. I mean, just a lot of little things. It looks like someone had some intentions of doing repair work or restoration to this and didn't get very far. But again, everything in here, I mean, to me, this rust seems pretty minimal compared to what a lot of guys get for their restoration projects. So this back quarter panel is probably the biggest area on the car cosmetically on the outside that needs repair work. And I do plan on cutting this out and welding in a new quarter panel. If for any reason anybody's come across this video and has not come across Barry at Joe Daddy's Garage channel, you need to check him out because he has great educational content on that channel on how to do things just like this. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I was a kid growing up, I had a '69 Buick Skylark, and on that restoration that I never actually finished, I ended up having to sell it when I was 18, but on that restoration, one of the projects I had to do was weld in a new quarter panel. And I picked up the quarter panel, I had it in the garage, and I would pick it up and kind of test fit it on the car, but I never had the courage to actually cut the old quarter panel off the car, because something like that's pretty daunting, I think, to anybody, let alone a 15-year-old kid. So watching Barry's channel, again at Joe Daddy's Garage, has really given me the confidence to take a project like that on. And you know, I have a pretty good work ethic, and you know, if I take something on, I'll usually see it to fruition. So now that I have a much better understanding on how to do that kind of work, you know, I'm really looking forward to cutting this off and, you know, getting my hands dirty and trying to get it fixed up. All right, I'll show you guys under the hood. Okay, like I said, it's a straight 6, and give me a second here. Like I said, it's a 200 inline 6 in this car, and originally when I was looking at this car in the sales ad, I had the intentions of possibly putting the V8 350 motor out of the Buick Skylark that I was working on as a kid. I still have that motor and transmission, and I figured, you know, the sky's the limit with this thing if I get it, and I thought I would put it in this. But after more research, there's a lot of work you have to do to these things to put in a motor that size, like redoing the front suspension and a laundry list of other things. So because I was able to break this motor free and get Marvel mystery oil in there and run it through several revolutions by hand, and it doesn't feel like it gets caught up anywhere, there's no grinding noises or anything like that, I'm gonna leave this motor in it. And if I have to end up rebuilding it, I will, but I think that route will be much easier than trying to put a V8 in here, especially with the skill set that I have. One of the reasons I named this channel Grease Rookie is because even though I'm 34 years old, I only have probably 5 years accumulated of working on these things, and all of that was whenever I was a kid. I just recently got back into it. Okay, this is what I am most excited about with this car. I live in central Pennsylvania, and like I said, I got this car in York, PA, if anybody's familiar with that area. And to me, the frame rails, everything, oops, dropped my phone. Take a look at the frame rails here. Like I said, to me everything looks really good. Even the floor pan seems to be in pretty good shape. I don't know if I believe this little section here is the torque box, and I can't tell if that's a repair work or what that was done there. But yeah, any input would be greatly appreciated in the comments, because like I said, I'm just getting back into this, and there's a lot that I have to learn. Another thing I would like to do to this, and I'd like feedback on this, is I would like to put sub-rail connectors frame connectors on this to make it stronger. To me, it just seems like a good idea, but I don't know if that can affect things like torque and structural loads or stuff like that. So I'm by no means an expert in that area. So anybody that would like to give feedback, please do in the comments. One last thing, you can see down here in the cowl just how good a shape that is. I mean, there is no rust down in there, which makes me believe that this car, for at least a long period of its life, was kept in a garage. You just don't have the kind of rust on this that a lot of guys get whenever they get these project cars. So I think that's everything. So that's the overview of the 65 Mustang. I think I covered everything. If anybody has any questions, leave them in the comments. Like I said, I paid $2,800 for it, which I feel like was a really great deal. 100% worth all the money to me. Like I said, I sold my Buick Skylark when I was 18, and I kind of walked away from the idea of ever getting a car because I now have a wife and 2 kids, and to me, I couldn't justify the money. But I'm at a point in my career now where I need an outlet like this, and the excitement, I put a picture up on Instagram and said I didn't think it was possible for a 34-year-old to get this excited over an object. I mean, this has been, it's just rekindled a whole bunch of emotions that I had, working on cars growing up. So to me, it was 100% worth the money that I paid for it, but I am kind of curious, do you typically find cars in this good a condition for that price? So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I do plan on putting up videos of my progress on this. Like I said, my background is in video production, so I'll probably incorporate that a little bit if I get time. But yeah, that's pretty much it.